Yo, what is up, guys? My name is Zane Allen, and today I'm going to be showing you guys my favorite 3 ways to make FP-1 stabilizers in Star Wars: The Old Republic. Now, if you saw my last video, that was a hide and seek guide on how to solo gear all the way to item rating level 340. If you know anything about gearing or hide and seek in this game, you know that you need a crap ton of FP-1 stabilizers, and they can be a little hard to get a lot of. That's why I'm making this guide to show you guys how I like to make mine, because it can be a little grindy, but you can have a lot of fun and get a lot of other perks from doing these things. Just a reminder, if you guys like the guide and want to see more content from me, hit the like and the subscribe button down below. Also, leave a comment if you have any suggestions on guides that you would like to see in the future. Also, I stream on Twitch at twitch.tv/ZaneAllenTV. I'm a nursing student, so my schedule isn't very consistent, but I like to stream multiple times a week, so I would love if you came and checked me out. That being said, let's jump right on into number 3. Alright, so coming in at number 3 for my favorite ways to farm FP-1 stabilizers is going to be by grinding the Red Reaper Flashpoint. I'm not going to go through the entire guide of how you're going to farm FP-1 stabilizers with this method. I plan on making a shorter, really simple, sweet video soon about how to do that, but I'm gonna link a tutorial about how to do this below in the description. This is the video that I used recently because I forgot how to do it because it had been a long time, and so that's a great video for you to go ahead and check out. This video will explain to you that the basic principle of grinding the Red Reaper Flashpoint is that you're gonna take a stealth character, a character that has a stealth ability, and you are going to solo this veteran mode Flashpoint. And when doing so, if you have a low item rating earpiece equipped, every boss will drop a blue earpiece that you can then deconstruct to get 10 FP-1 stabilizers per earpiece. So it ends up being about 30 FP-1 stabilizers per Flashpoint. For me, it kind of tends to run between 10 and 15 minutes to do a full run of this Flashpoint on a stealth character. Now, it doesn't have to be a stealth character, but it's highly recommended because it does take a very long time if you're not using stealth. However, there are a few reasons why this comes in at number 3 and not at number 1 or number 2. Me personally, I don't like things in this game that are too monotonous. I think that this game has a very large amount of content, and I don't want to spend my time doing the same thing over and over and over, when the other 2 methods I'm going to mention soon are more varied and have a wide range of content. Like I said earlier, one run can take 10 to 15 minutes and you get around 30 FP-1 stabilizers. This means that if you're getting 30 FP-1 stabilizers every 15 minutes, that's about 120 FP-1 stabilizers every hour. 120 FP-1 stabilizers every hour with this method is not even one upgrade. While overall, depending on what content you choose to play in the game, this may be one of the faster methods. It's not the most enjoyable for me. However, it does have its perks where you can kind of turn your brain off, listen to music, watch TV, watch YouTube on a second monitor, Zane Allen's channel. You can watch one of my guides if you want. But I personally find that doing other content can be more fun. In fact, that same method that I talked about equipping a lower level earpiece while you do flashpoints applies to any flashpoint. So it doesn't necessarily even have to be the Red Reaper. You can queue for veteran mode flashpoints in the group finder, equip a lower level earpiece, and the bosses will still drop those blue earpieces that you can deconstruct to get FP-1 stabilizers. The Red Reaper is kind of just a staple in the community for being one of the easiest to solo, and that's why it's at number 3. Alright, coming in at number 2, I have completing Flashpoint related weekly missions and getting the huge amount of FP-1 stabilizers that they grant. This one's kind of similar to the last one. The last one was a Flashpoint, and so is this one. However, it kind of makes sense because the blue gear is theoretically the Flashpoint gear, So in order to level up this gear, you're going to have to do some flashpoints. In this method, we're mainly going to focus on doing the weekly missions, whether that's completing 3 veteran mode flashpoints or 2 master mode flashpoints using the group finder mission. Typically, when you go to the group finder panel and you select veteran flashpoints and master flashpoints and you start to complete one, you're automatically granted the weekly mission. However, you can also come here to the fleet to this priority missions terminal where you can pick them up. Under flashpoints, you'll see weekly galactic conflicts. This is the master mode version where you have to complete 2 master mode flashpoints for 310 FP-1 stabilizers plus another 50. Or you can do the veteran version, which is to do 3 veteran mode flashpoints for 130 FP-1 stabilizers plus 30. I tend to do both of these. You can do them up to 3 times a week per character, so if you are grinding it out, you can get a lot of FP-1 stabilizers at a time if you play on multiple characters. However, I will say that you do have to use the group finder function. You won't get credit if you just go into a flashpoint from picking it up, like in Red Reaper that I just talked about. And to make sure that you're gonna get credit for the mission, you have to make sure that when you click on veteran flashpoints or master mode flashpoints that you have at least enough to qualify. So when you look at this filter number, you see I have filtered 25 out of 22. That means I have 25 flashpoints selected that I can queue for, and 22 are required. So let's say I really didn't want to do Blood Hunt, Assault on Titan, or Aethys. I can take those ones out and be at 22. As long as I'm 22 of 22, I'll still get the rewards. You also get a small amount of daily rewards if you're doing it every day. The same exact principle goes for master mode flashpoints. Again, like I mentioned in the previous section, you can do the same method with the earpiece. So if you were to get a lower level earpiece and equip it, it's going to drop your item rating, and the game will try to give you a piece to compensate your worst piece of gear, so it will drop you a blue earpiece that you can deconstruct. It's not just a Red Reaper thing, this works in any flashpoint, and that's why it's kind of above the Red Reaper. You're getting double rewards, you're getting the weekly rewards from the mission, but you're also getting the drops that you can deconstruct to get the FP-1 stabilizers. For me, these missions kind of tend to seem like they're the fastest, especially if you're able to complete Master Mode flashpoints. Now, don't get me wrong, Master Mode flashpoints can take a really long time, especially if you struggle. Make sure to pick a class that you feel confident in and make sure that you have decent gear going into it. You don't need any crazy 343 gear. As long as you have your 324 green set of conquest gear, I think you'll be okay. While this gives you the most raw FP-1 stabilizers out of the 3 topics that I'm going to talk about today, I feel as though there's a bit more reward, a bit more enjoyment, and a bit more conquest involved in number 1. Alright, and so coming in at number 1, the final method of making FP-1 stabilizers that I'm going to be talking about today is doing heroic missions, and in particular the heroic weekly missions. Now, this method is my favorite. It allows me to grind out not only a lot of FP-1 stabilizers for completing weekly missions, but also a lot of conquest commendations for completing each heroic. You also get a small amount of tech fragments for each heroic, which can help you get your tacticals and legendary implants down the line. But on top of all that, heroics are also a great way to get conquest, which, if you remember, is also another source of getting conquest commendations and tech fragments. If you remember what I talked about in the last guide, or if you didn't know, you can go to the conquest gear vendor and you can trade in 400 conquest commendations for 100 FP-1 stabilizers. So the more conquest commendations you make while also making FP-1 stabilizers, the more FP-1 stabilizers you're gonna get in total. This may not be the fastest method compared to doing the Flashpoint weekly missions. I recommend actually doing both number 2 and number 1 if you want to upgrade that piece of armor to 340 as fast as possible. However, I feel as if this method in particular has a lot more of those benefits that I just talked about, plus you get a lot of credits for doing heroic missions. Besides, you can never go wrong with having more conquest points. If you're not sure about the weekly heroic missions that I've been talking about, you can come here to the combat training section of the fleet and go to the heroic missions terminal, and you'll see that at the top of every planet's heroic mission list, you'll see that there's a weekly heroic missions quest for that planet. So for Alderaan, you have to complete 4 heroic missions for Alderaan, which means 1, 2, 3, 4. You only have to do 4 out of 5 to complete this one weekly mission, and you get 25 FP-1 stabilizers each time you complete this weekly mission. You can do this for each planet, and you can do it pretty much every single day. You can do the weeklies 3 times a week. And there's plenty of planets where you probably won't run out of weeklies to do it anytime soon. And like I said earlier, you get 40 conquest commendations per weekly as well. You also get 3 per heroic that you do. So if you were to do Alderaan, you would get 25 FP-1 stabilizers, then you would also get 40 conquest commendations, plus you do 4 heroics, that's 12 more, so you're getting 52 conquest commendations. And if you scroll down this list, you can see that there's a huge amount of heroics available to do in the game. So if you're looking for a new way to farm FP-1 stabilizers and you've already done all of your weekly Flashpoint missions, this is probably another good option for you. I will say something that I didn't know that a lot of people don't know is that if you go down to the group finder tab where you do your flashpoints and your PvP, there's also a solo tab. And in this solo tab, you can see every weekly mission for heroics, including daily areas. Now, daily areas kind of are the same as the weekly heroic missions, except you get slightly higher amount of conquest commendations, getting about 50 instead of 40. Now, once you select the one that you'd like to do, let's say I want to do Coruscant, I can hit travel, and it'll teleport me directly to Coruscant right in front of the heroic terminal so that I can pick up the right amount of heroics that I need when my game loads. Alright, so as you can see, I've been teleported here right to Coruscant, right in front of the daily heroic missions terminal, where I can go ahead and pick up my heroics. So you can see there are 4 heroics, and if I go to my missions log, you can see that I need to complete 4 heroics in order to complete the weekly. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up all 4, and I'm going to run and I'm going to do them real fast. Alright, so as you can see, I have now completed my weekly heroic missions for Coruscant, so I've got 40 conquest commendations, and I can select to receive 25 FP-1 stabilizers. But, ladies and gentlemen, that is all I have for you today. I tried my best to keep this short and sweet, kind of just run through my favorite ways to make the FP-1 stabilizers for you guys. Good luck on your gearing journey. I'm going to be making the advanced guide later on, so hopefully once you get your 340s, I'll put out the 343 gearing guide. Thank you everybody for watching. Thank you everybody for your support on my last video. Again, if you enjoyed this guide, hit like and subscribe down below. Leave a comment, let me know. Especially let me know if you have any questions or suggestions. I'm also going to be making more content other than guides. I have ideas for tier lists, playthroughs, kind of meme content, kind of video essay kind of content. I have lots and lots of ideas, and I'm really excited about this channel, so any support that you could give me, I would really appreciate. Don't forget to come over to my Twitch and drop a follow at twitch.tv/ZaneAllenTV. And finally, thank you guys for watching. My name is Zane. I'll catch you guys later. Bye.